regions to combat cultural practice discriminatory toward women and older people, which would be essential to progressively reduce incidents of witchcraft accusations. Faced by rejection by the community, women have few options. There are no government shelters in those regions where the accusations happened. It follows them wherever they go, with disastrous outcomes. Indeed, the case of Aquadente, who was lynched in July 2020 in the Savannah region, is a stark reminder of the dire consequences of witchcraft accusations. As a result, women who are accused end up in camps overseen by traditional priests, where the living conditions are difficult. In the 4 camps, Patinga, Nani, Kukwo, and Gambaga, access to food, safe housing, and clean water is limited. Although women who are strong enough work in local farms in exchange for food, those who are older or sick are heavily dependent on the help of others, including children who are sent to the camp to help their grandmothers with daily tasks, a hindrance to their continuing education. Some women are not registered into the government cash program, the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program, despite qualifying for it. And those who are complain that the payments are often delayed and insufficient for their needs. The floor of the huts in the camps are often in poor conditions, and the roof do not effectively prevent rain from entering the huts. In all the camps, access to clean water is a challenge, as running drinking water isn't available despite a national policy providing for it. While in some camps, NGO donated water tanks and boreholes, water is not always accessible, especially during dry season. As a result, women have to walk for hours in mountainous areas to get water from the nearby river multiple times a day. Finally, due to the age and living conditions in the camps, the women are particularly at risk of getting sick, and the state holds the primary responsibility for ensuring their rights to health is fulfilled, although civil society organizations can play a supportive role. However, access to health services is difficult in the camps. Most women have national health insurance, but local clinics do not always have the medication they need. Moreover, for those who have serious and chronic illnesses, the coverage under health insurance is insufficient, forcing them to pay out of pocket or heavily rely on the financial help of others.
International found that the government does not provide enough protection to women accused of witchcraft accusations. So there's no law criminalizing witchcraft accusation and related abuse, and even when women attempted to go to the police when they attack, it's not necessarily investigated, but most of them do not report to the police. We spoke to 82 women and only one attempted to report it to the police, and nothing happened. In addition to that, there's no well-founded, coordinated campaign at the national level to change this harmful practice, despite being prevalent. We have hundreds of women who've been accused of witchcraft and end up in those camps. There's no government shelters in those areas where the accusations are prevalent, so they have nowhere else to go other than those camps where the living conditions in those camps are very hard. Access to water, they don't have running water, so they have to, most of the time, walk for hours to get water, and those women are elderly. That's the case, for example, in Kukwo, they have to work for 3 hours to get in mountainous area to get water. In terms of safe housing, they live in huts where the rain can get through the roof. They also don't have really access to livelihood and food. Those who can are still able to work in other people's farm in exchange for food, but a lot of them cannot work anymore, so they depend on the help of others. A lot of them are not on LEAP, even though they qualify for it, and those who are do not necessarily receive it every 3 months as they should, and the amount they receive is not enough. That's the case, for example, of a woman over 80 we spoke to who is not able to work because she hurt her knee. She doesn't have any children, so she has a nephew who came to the camp to help her, her teenage nephew, who stopped actually going to school, so that also impacts children. To help her. She received LEAP, but it's only a small amount, and when we spoke to her, it's been like 4 or 5 months since she has received LEAP. So we visited Kukuo, Nani, Gambaga, and Patinga. I think for that, it's important to listen to the women. They are all different, and the mistake we make is to think that they all want the same thing. Some women, it's a minority of women, wants to go back to the community, but a lot of them are scared. A lot of them prefer being reintegrated in another community, and some of them want to remain in the camp, especially older women who don't have children, that don't know where to go, and for them, they should be allowed to stay in the camp. But we want two things. We want the condition in the camp to be ameliorated for the women who cannot leave, and we also want efforts, and that would require more money put into reintegration community to speak to each and every one woman and to try to reintegrate it in the community of their choice. So we have recommended preventative measures, and to prevent new accusation from happening, you need a law criminalizing not the belief in itself, but witchcraft accusations and related abuse. So it serves as a deterrent for future incidents. We also want more, because there are efforts here and there by the government to sensibilize those communities, but it's not enough. We want a lot of funding to do a coordinated campaign at the national level to educate people on the issue and to also counter gender stereotype, because a lot of them are targeted because they are women. So there needs to be a lot of sensibilization in those communities to prevent further accusation. We also need the women recommendation for the women who are already in the camp is to put money into reintegrating them in the community of the choices, and also helping with access to water in the camp, financial aid for those who cannot have anything to help them with livelihood, and also more access to health, because you also have women, even though they have national health insurance, they cannot pay for medication because it's not covered by their insurance, and they have a very severe diseases or chronic illnesses, and they need the medication, so they need extra protection. You combine that with the fact that clinics next to the camps, because it's really removed from community, most often do not have the medication that they need. And those women are older, they often need medication, they rely a lot on medication.
Most of them have to resort to working in farms and then they are paid through the harvest of the farms. So there's no permanent solution right now on how they access food. Of course, most of them are registered on LEAP. That is the government program that provides some form of support. But the support is very low. It can be between 100 cedis to 200 cedis a month, and sometimes these payments are delayed. So because of that, the women are really, going through a lot of human rights violations within the camps. So based on that, we are calling on the government of Ghana to pass the current bill, which is in Parliament. It was in Parliament last year, and it has been reintroduced by the MP, Francis Xavier Sosu, and some other MPs. We are urging the government to sign the bill into the law once it's passed, but we're also calling on the Speaker of Parliament to treat this bill as urgent, so that, it's gone through Parliament before. So let's speed up the process and get this passed as soon as possible. The bill will protect victims. It's not just about perpetrators serving jail time, but there'll also be support services in place for victims of witchcraft accusations. They will have support if they are facing mental health conditions, but they will also receive some form of compensation from perpetrators should they be accused and their human rights abused. Most of these women are beaten, chased out of their communities, and a lot of the time it's led by the youth. And so we at Amnesty International Ghana, we're part of a coalition against witchcraft accusations called KAWA. And we do this with Action Aid, Song Taba, the Sana Institute, and other individuals that are part of the coalition. We've had, just prior to this launch, we have had discussions with the minister herself, Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. She's very concerned about the issue, and they seem very keen on finding a very good solution, a roadmap. Because as we stated in the report recommendations, you can't just close down the camps immediately. Where are these women going to go? There has to be a comprehensive roadmap by government, led by Ministry of Gender, to show, okay, how are we going to do public education? How are we going to reintegrate these women back into their communities? If they do not feel safe to go back to their communities, where else can we take them to? There needs to be a lot of reconciliation process as well, because some of these women, they go back to their communities and they are still abused psychologically and emotionally. They are not allowed to attend weddings, funerals. They are ostracized. They are branded, exactly what the report is called. They are branded for life. And this goes down from generation to generation. Once your grandmother is branded, most likely your mother will be branded, and you as a child are likely to be branded. So this is a very big issue, cultural issue in our society. It's not just about traditional leaders, it's also about religious leaders, religious groups, because they are also perpetrators of this kind of witchcraft accusations. So we're happy that once the bill is passed and signed into law, that some of these perpetrators will actually face jail time, and there'll be repercussions to the acts that they commit.